Assalamu alaikum, dear students. As you know that we are discussing the chapter 4 of this history, that is the age of industrialization, and in this chapter we discuss many topics. Now another important topic is life of workers. In this we are going actually to discuss how the life of workers was affected, or it got affected by the industrialization or abundance of labor. As I told you earlier, that there was abundance of labor, there was no shortage of the labor in the European market, especially in the Great Britain, England, because of which it is natural that the workers might have been affected by when there was abundance or plenty of labor available in the market, and how they were affected, in which areas, what are the various reasons why they are being affected, or how they were being affected, in how many ways, in which ways they were affected. We are going to discuss all that in this topic. So this the life of workers was affected by the industrialization process or abundance of labor in the market in several ways. It was affected in several ways. बहुत सारे तरीकों में ये अफेक्ट हो गया, ये वर्कर की ज़िंदगी, लाइफ जो है वो अफेक्ट हो गई. एंड फर्स्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट वे इज it is difficulty in getting job. This was first important way through which, or by which, you can say the life of workers was affected by the industrialization on the or the abundance or availability of labor in the market. Actually industrialization process जो थी, industrialization process pushed labor, it pushed laborers to the cities. When the industrialization process compelled the laborers to move to the cities, therefore in cities, what was important, what they found when they migrated to cities, when they moved to cities, there they found that job was very difficult. Getting job in cities was very difficult, and this job in the city, it depended on social connections. It depended on social connections. What does that mean? Social connections means there's friendship. It depended on friendship and kin relations. If you had a relative, a friend, working in a factory, it was sure that you were likely to get a job quickly. अगर आपका कोई रिश्तेदार या आपका कोई फ्रेंड जो है किसी फैक्ट्री में काम कर रहा था ऑलरेडी, तो ये श्योर था, ये बात ये यकीन था, इसमें कोई ये डिफ़िकल्टी नहीं थी कि आपको जॉब नहीं मिलेगा, बल्कि आपको जॉब मिलना ही मिलना था और आपके लिए जॉब बहुत जल्दी मिलना था. एंड what was important कि all those workers, all those laborers who migrated, sorry, all those workers, these laborers who migrated to the cities, who moved to the cities, it was not necessary that they all of them had social connections. ये ज़रूरी नहीं था कि उनके रिश्तेदार वहाँ पे होते, उनके फ्रेंड वहाँ पे होते. So therefore what was then important is that many job seekers who went to the cities in search of job, they had to wait for weeks. And they used to spending nights. उन बेचारों को वहाँ पे जो है रातें गुजारनी पड़ती थी under bridges. Under bridges they had to spend their nights, or sometimes in night shelters. वहाँ पे कुछ night shelters थे, वहाँ पे वो बेचारे जो है रात उनको वहाँ पे ही गुजारनी पड़ती थी जब वो जॉब ढूंढने निकले थे. And it has been said that some of them, ये जो night refugees थे, right, refugees वहाँ पे हैं जो प्राइवेट इंडिविजुअल्स के थे, वहाँ पे वो रात को फिर रह रहे थे. और कुछ लोग जो हैं वो कैजुअल वार्ड्स जो थे, कैजुअल वार्ड्स में वो बेचारे जो है चले गए क्योंकि उनको जगह ही नहीं मिल रही थी. और ये कैजुअल वार्ड जो थे, दीज वेर मेंटेन्ड बाय द पुअर लॉ अथॉरिटीज. ये जो लॉ अथॉरिटीज थी, पुअर लॉ अथॉरिटीज, उन्होंने ये मेंटेन ये कैजुअल वार्ड्स किए थे. और इन्हीं कैजुअल वार्ड्स में फिर इनको ये जो है रातों को रहना पड़ता था जब इनको वहाँ पे, जब ये बेचारे जॉब की तलाश में वहाँ जाते थे सिटीज़ में. सो दिस वाज फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट प्रॉब्लम फेस्ड बाय द वर्कर्स हु वेंट, दीज लेबरर्स हु वेंट टू द सिटीज़ इन सर्च ऑफ द जॉब. सेकंड इंपॉर्टेंट वाज द seasonality of work. In many these, as I have told you earlier in the earlier lectures, that many industries were seasonal industries, and therefore they demand the demand in the seasonal industries of for labor was also seasonal. वो भी seasonal होती थी. Therefore और वहाँ पे वो विदाउट वर्क बहुत टाइम तक ये सीजनल इंडस्ट्रीज रहती थी. सीजन्स में, कुछ सीजन्स में वहाँ पे काम होता था और कुछ सीजन्स में नहीं होता था. देयरफॉर मनी इंडस्ट्रीज वेर सीजनल. कुछ इंडस्ट्रीज जो थी वो सीजनल थी. दे वेर सीजनल इन नेचर. उनका नेचर जो है सीजनल होता था, वो सीजनली थे. देयरफॉर उनमें जो है काम कुछ सीजन, कुछ टाइम तक रहता था. एंड this seasonality of the work, it once again brought the poor. इसने भी again it brought large number of poor workers on the streets. जब सीजनलिटी जो है, सीजनल वर्क जो है, सीजनल वर्क होती थी, जब वहाँ पे काम ही वर्क होता था, एक सीजन में होता था दूसरे में नहीं होता था. और सीजन जब सीजन चले जाते थे, दीज पुअर वर्कर्स, वंस द सीजनल वर्क वाज ओवर, जब सीजन चला जाता था, ये पुअर पेजेंट, ये जो वर्कर्स होते थे, अगेन दे हैड टू टेक द स्ट्रीट्स. ये दोबारा बेचारे जो है स्ट्रीट्स पे फिर इनको अपनी ज़िंदगी जो है बसर करनी पड़ती थी. एंड इवन सम ऑफ देम यूज्ड टू रिटर्न टू कंट्री साइड. कुछ जो है कंट्री साइड में चले जाते थे अपने आफ्टर द विंटर्स के बाद. बट when the demand for the labor in the rural areas opened up in places, जब ओपन अप दोबारा से डिमांड लेबर हो जाती थी कुछ रूरल एरियाज में, कुछ प्लेसेस में रूरल एरियाज के, तो ये बेचारे उस वक्त चले जाते थे, वहाँ पे काम करते थे. बट most of the times they found getting the job very difficult, and this trend was seen till the mid 19th century. ये ट्रेंड जो है मिड 19th सेंचुरी तक जो है, मिड 19th सेंचुरी तक ये कंटिन्यू रहा. इट कंटिन्यूड, एंड दिस ट्रेंड ऑफ फाइंडिंग द जॉब वेरी डिफ़िकल्ट, ये जो जॉब है वो ये जॉब मिल जाना वो बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट था, ये मिड 19th सेंचुरी तक ये ट्रेंड कंटिन्यू रहा. दिस वाज सेकंड इम्पॉर्टेंट रीज़न, सेकंड इम्पॉर्टेंट दिस वे through which these workers, the life of the workers was badly affected. Another important effect of this industrialization process or the abundance of labor was that is third, that was low wages. Another important impact of the industrialization or abundance of labor on the life of workers was the low wages. As you know that wages were very low in these industries because the labor was available in plenty, there was no shortage of labor, and therefore wages were very low. Secondly, it was found that wages were increased in early 19th century. In early 19th century wages जो है तनख्वाहें बढ़ा दी गई, but even though the wages were increased, but there was sharp rise in prices. Prices जो है, दाम जो है वो बढ़ा दिए गए, and because of which the workers could buy fewer things. वर्कर जो है ये खाली कुछ चीज़ें खरीद सकता था, क्योंकि दाम जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गई. जब दाम बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गए तो वर्कर्स के लिए पॉसिबल नहीं था कि ये सारा कुछ जो है खरीदते, इसीलिए कुछ ही चीज़ें बेचारे ये वर्कर्स जो है खरीद सकते थे इस कम लो वेजेस पे, कम तनख्वाहों पे. सो दिस वाज अनदर इम्पॉर्टेंट इम्पैक्ट effect of this abundance of labor or industrialization process on the life of the workers. Fourth important impact was unemployment and poverty. Unemployment and poverty was another important impact of this process of industrialization on the life of the workers. What does unemployment? Here in mid 19th century, about 10% of urban population, 10% of urban population in mid 19th century were extremely poor. They were extremely poor in this Europe, especially in Britain. And in times of economic depression, economic slump, जब इकोनॉमिक स्लंप हो जाता था और इकोनॉमिक डिप्रेशन, इकोनॉमिक डिप्रेशन जो है, वी हैव द इकोनॉमिक डिप्रेशन ऑफ 1830s में जैसे इकोनॉमिक डिप्रेशन चला वहाँ पे ब्रिटेन में, तो आप देख सकते हो इवन इन those times, in those circumstances, the portion of unemployment, the proportion of unemployment, it went high, it went up, it went very high, and it varied between 35 and even at some places it was seen 75% in different regions. So this was another important impact, that unemployment increased, the rate of unemployment went very high. ये जो है unemployment है, ये जो बेरोजगारी है, वो बहुत ज़्यादा high चली गई. So this was another important impact which was seen, and because of which there was fear among these. Another important impact जो है, this fear of unemployment made workers hostile to the introduction of न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी. ये जो नई टेक्नोलॉजी है, ये इंट्रोड्यूस जो की गई थी, जब वर्कर्स को अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट फेयर इसमें दिखा, उनको दिखा कि खतरा है इनको इसमें अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का, बेरोजगारी का, तो इस तरह से जो वर्कर्स है, वर्कर्स होस्टाइल बन गए, वर्कर्स रेजिस्ट करने लगे इस नई टेक्नोलॉजी को इंट्रोड्यूस करने के लिए. And the best example is that of the this spinning genie. When spinning genie was introduced by the James Hargreaves in 1764, इसको 1764 में जो है जेम्स हारग्रीव्स ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया. इसकी वजह से जो है मशीन की वजह से स्पिनिंग जो है, स्पिनिंग प्रोसेस में बहुत ज़्यादा स्पीड आ गई और इसने लेबर डिमांड को रिड्यूस कर दिया, क्योंकि एक ही टाइम पे जो है अब वर्कर को मोशन में बहुत सारी स्पेंडल्स रखनी पड़ती थी, और स्पेन जो है, थ्रेड जो है, एक ही टाइम पे बहुत सारी. सो आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस स्पिनिंग जिनी, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ स्पिनिंग जिनी, as I told you that the speed, this machine increased the speed, and with this the important is that with its introduction there was reaction, and the reaction came from the woman. When this spinning genie was introduced, this was introduced mostly, as I told you, in the woolen industry. Once this was introduced in woolen industry, as you know that women of the villages, countryside, in the rural areas, they were mostly these women were wholly and solely dependent on this spinning, because spinning was mostly done by these women. ये women जो है ये spinning के साथ वाबस्ता थी, गाँव में ये बहुत ज़्यादा spinning करती थी, and because of which when this new technology, when this new machine, that is spinning genie, was introduced in the industries, a woman reacted to this, and woman attacked this new machine. They attacked this new machine. They attacked these new machines. That is the spinning genie machines which were introduced in woolen industries. As women were dependent on the spinning, as spinning was their source of income, source of livelihood, because these women, they thought that their source of livelihood is being affected by the introduction of spinning genie. Therefore they reacted to the introduction of this spinning genie in the industry, woolen industries, and therefore they attacked these new machines. इन्होंने उनको अटैक कर दिया, and this conflict, this conflict between women and these industrialists who introduced spinning jenny, new machines in their industries, this conflict continued for a long time. For a long time, this conflict over the introduction of spinning jenny continued for a long time. For a long time, this continued, this conflict, and however, and this conflict was directly the outcome, the result of this the loss of the loss of job or the uncertainty of the unemployment. This was uncertainty related with which got affiliated with the एम्प्लॉयमेंट. ये जो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट हो गई उसके साथ जो फेयर उसने क्रिएट किया इन वर्कर्स में, उसी का ये नतीजा था कि उन्होंने नई टेक्नोलॉजी को इंट्रोड्यूस करने से रेजिस्ट किया. एंड हाउएवर अराउंड 1840s जो है some positive development started taking place, especially building जो है building activity it started on a large scale. building activity जो है ये start हो गई. it increased in especially in cities जो है cities में, शहरों में जो है, urban areas में ये बहुत ज़्यादा ये जो है increase हो गई around 1840s ये building activity. and this building activity वहाँ पे क्या हुआ actually opening this building activity, because of this building activity it opened employment opportunities. इसने एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज जो है वो क्रिएट कर दी. नाउ वर्कर्स जो है they can get the jobs in this building activity. and mostly in this building activity roads were widened, roads को widen बढ़ा दिया गया. new railway stations were built, railway stations बना दिए गए. railway lines were extended even colonies में, ब्रिटेन में. और ये वर्क जो है ये बहुत ज़्यादा इंक्रीज हुआ. टनल्स डाग किए गए. ड्रेनेज सिस्टम ड्रेन्स वायर लेड आउट, ड्रेन्स जो है ये लेड आउट किए गए. रिवर एम्बार्कमेंट्स वायर constructed. so all these things, all this building activity, it increased, it opened employment opportunities for employment in the cities. so this was one positive development. and also around this same 1840s there was another important development that happened in transport industry. जो transport industry जो थी, transport industry also saw a growth, it saw a development around 1840s. and in this transport industry number of workers were increased. the workers were employed in huge numbers. Workers were employed in on a massive scale. वर्कर्स जो है इनको मैसिव स्केल में, ह्यूज नंबर्स में रिक्रूट किया गया. इनमें इनको अपॉइंटमेंट, ये जो है एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिली इस ट्रांसपोर्ट इंडस्ट्री में. एंड इट वाज सेड दैट अराउंड 1840s द एम्प्लॉयमेंट, द नंबर ऑफ द वर्कर्स इन द ट्रांसपोर्ट इंडस्ट्री इट डबल्ड, ये डबल हो गई. एंड in the next 30 years it doubled more and more. ये बहुत ज़्यादा डबल हो गई 30 years के बाद भी जो है. so this these two industries, that is building industry and the transport industry, they gave a kind of, they created employment opportunities for the workers. and as I told you that the number of workers employed in transport industry it doubled. वो डबल हो गई अराउंड 1840s में, 1840s पीरियड में. एंड इन नेक्स्ट 30 years में जो है ये और भी ज़्यादा जो है ये डबल्ड मोर. ये बहुत ज़्यादा डबल हो गई. So this by this we came to know that to some extent the workers got a release, the employment opportunities were created, and the opportunity, this employment rate, it started growing up. So unemployment जो है वो थोड़ी बहुत है, unemployment rate started declining by 1840s. So this was one of the important development that happened around 1840s. Hope you have understood this. So this was all about the topic life of the workers, how the coming of these industries, this how the this abundance of the laborers in the market, how the availability of the these laborers in the market affected the lives of the workers. This was all about this topic. So hope you have understood this topic well. Thank you.